Welcome, welcome everyone. Hi. This is
Hello.
hi. It's been a minute since we've been together. Um
Yeah, a little
I'm
bit.
mm, and honestly, I'm as if I haven't moved. I realize I'm in the exact same thing, but it started to get cold here and this was my first coffee deck. Like there's a deck outside that if we do have coffee in the morning out there that I'm not in shorts. Um So,
It's supposed
anyways,
to be 81
that's a
here.
lot of
I've got the air on and I've got my jacket in case I get cold because it has to be cool in the house for when it gets hot later in the day. So I
yeah,
may grab a blanket or a jacket.
yeah. So that's a lot of explaining. So on my part, sorry. So anyway, so it's not your imagination. I actually have showered at least once since the last time that we did a broadcast. I think I'm all right.
That busy, huh?
Good thing that we're 3,000 miles apart because you don't want to smell
Okay.
this. No, I'm just kidding. I smell delicious. Okay, there we go. Cheers. Ching, ching. I was
Cheers.
going to go ching, ching. I have a bad joke. Mm. And China. And China. It's like the China. Look, this is China flu. It flew. See how the China flew? That's the only China flu that's real, by the way. That was awesome. I love me. No, I'm just kidding. So
Yes, you do.
well, yeah, I do. I'm not actually kidding, but I mean that sounds, just like
Yeah.
shut up. Today's show is we just had the announcement, which is really, I mean, Fox News has become part of the MSM, so you don't want to go there to find out what the verdict was on the Arizona audits. You don't want to go there
No.
because they're going to tell you what MSM marching orders or overlords that they get all their money from and their sweet deals and their apartments and their private jets, and now they've been taken over. Maybe they always were. Maybe they always
Disney.
were.
Wasn't it Disney that bought them?
Yeah. But I mean, like back when Trump first got into office, we were all kind of like, it's been a really interesting, um,
Transition?
well, the sources from which I relied or were my go tos
Have completely
have
changed.
well, yeah, they were a certain, well, when I was, back in the Walter Cronkite days, which really wasn't my era. That's more my grandparents. We had basically like three networks, and there
Right.
wasn't the internet, and the news was stuff that happened that they wanted to alert and or inform and or somewhat also to balance it out, have a little jovial entertainment, something lighthearted, a kitten, a puppy, something that happened in a small town.
Something sweet and nice and tender and positive.
Right. But they had a formula that wasn't so dubious or obvious, at least. It's hard to put it into words, but I'm pretty sure that because of the whole 1900s or the 20th century, which none of us were born before then. Nobody that's listening was born in the 1800s, probably. I mean, God bless you. If you were born in the 1800s, please leave us a comment because we have a lot of questions for you. But the news, I'll try to back away from the fish islands, but the news used to be, if I'm not being too Pollyannish about this, it it used to be things that actually happened that they reported on when they'd say, like, say if you had a fire in your town, then they would
Right.
say film at 11.
Here's the
Or
copy. Read the news.
now, I mean, we have the head of CNN, Jeff Zucker, on leaked audio and videotape that they hacked into their inner office conference call like months ago, and the Project Veritas brought us hundreds of hours of uncensored how their meetings go. And I mean, like,
Yeah.
the biggest, most provocative, vivid takeaway from all of that was when he said, if it doesn't bleed, it doesn't lead. And
Right.
so if there's nothing going on, they go out with a small crew and they create it. and of course we
They
saw
make the
they
copy.
make the
Yeah.
headline for the advertisers, because it's the advertisers. This is what happens. The viewer is the viewing audience is being sold to the advertisers. So at any given point, anything that's aired or is goes down on the airways that is greenlit for live or whatever, or just any broadcast, the viewing audience number is sold, and depending on how much traffic that you can draw, is the price that you can charge that advertiser. So it's no longer about, and it hasn't been for a long time. I'm not trying to be too Pollyannish. I mean, I would like to think that there was a sweet, honest, innocence day in America, at least. But if you really look back, maybe not. I mean, we had women. Do you remember shows back in the day when there'd be like a um a television sitcom on, and then suddenly the characters would break and they'd pick up a box of laundry soap and they'd start talking about it, and
That was in the 50s. Yeah.
our advertisers today are, or she'd
Yeah.
walk by her stove, she'd be like, look at the line of this brand new appliance, and you're like, what is happening? Yeah. Well, I
Lucille
mean,
Ball.
yeah, I'd rather go back there than this devious, deceptive, just dirty, underhanded, subliminal, extorted, swindled crap that is endless that people are buying. And I mean, I know that it's up to each of us to understand, to use discernment. Discernment is the password is discernment. Remember that show? I used to love that.
Analytical thinking, not just being told what to think, but analyzing what they're telling you. Is this bullshit or not?
Yeah. I mean, the public is a playpen, and they throw a bunch of toys in it for our convenience and to distract us. And then they run a television show on a screen around that pin, that playpen, and they're 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 programming you subconsciously while you're playing with your toys. And so
Yeah.
it does take a minute to understand that you're being handled, you're being played. I've never been, Andrea, honestly, I think one of my biggest pet peeves of anything ever was that somebody thought that they were more clever than me and were pulling the wool over my eyes, and that I was a sucker, and that I was this gullible fool, and they were laughing behind my back. And now what I try to do with everything that I do is for that very reason, as a trying to bring to that the people will take the blinders and the earplugs out, and they'll go, hold on, let me just consider this for a second. Maybe I'm not paying attention, and I'm being handled and played. And the people that we elected, which we didn't elect them, they were appointed because they fixed every election, that they never did have our best interests in mind. And that wake up call is so steeped in so many layers. I don't mean to commandeer our time together. I just want to get it out. I don't even know what it is, but I have to get it out. That they are intentionally, it's betrayal. It's betrayal of humankind. They're doing it on purpose, and it's betrayal. And people won't face, even they can't face that they're being betrayed
It
by
is
what
a
they.
struggle. It's a struggle for the brain to grasp that everything that you've ever been taught, understood, education. I mean, my gosh, I'm still paying off a school loan. And when I learned that it's all BS and our whole history, I love history. And to find out our whole history has been
We'll get
a
there. We'll
lie.
get there. We'll talk about that
Yeah, but I
history.
mean, that's
Yeah,
part of it.
but it's
Your
part
brain
and
cannot
parcel.
wrap around it. It
Right.
takes a while.
Right. So what we're referring to is that um, back in the 1800s, early 1800s, if you didn't already know, I'll just outline very quickly what we will talk about in part two, or the middle of our thing, is that um, the world's people, humankind across Earth, were um, done away with, and the history was rewritten, and the only vetted publisher that was allowed to print it and to place it in all schools and um, buildings of education, higher learning, all the way from K through 12, all the way through university. The only message that was allowed to actually be telegraphed out in those days, in the last 100 years, was the ones that the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds approved. And that was a rewritten story that had no basis in any fact or reality. And its betrayal at the lowest depths, and understanding that you won't even believe once we begin to kind of try to systematically make some clarity and sense and bring it to you if you haven't already seen some of it. But let me tell you that what you think happened in the United States and in the wars and in the countries and between black people and white people and Indians and discoveries and when cities were founded and when buildings were built, and the energy and the electricity and the utility companies and who actually runs it and where they're located, you're going to be pissed. I mean, you may not be pissed right away. You may debunk it, and then just turn us off and say, "Oh, they're just crazy." You know what's really weird? I got to include this. I think it was my David Weiss video podcast on Flat Earth. Some people's comments, they said, it was kind of like a passive aggressive compliment. You know how somebody gives you a compliment, but it's really an insult at the same time? Like, wow, you've lost a lot of weight. Which is to say, you've been thinking I was a huge fat person this whole time. Thank you. Right. But anyway, they didn't say that because I don't have any weight things. But they did say, I really enjoyed the Mad Hatter host. This guy. Do my Blake Shelton. Where am I? This guy was Mad Hatter, which is ironic because right here on this wall is Johnny Depp in Alice in Wonderland with the Mad Hatter hat on, walking straight towards us with a huge Tartarian castle behind us that looks like Cinderella's castle. I'm foaming. From the Magic Kingdom in Orlando, Florida, or the castle Liechtenstein, or whatever there, that was the inspiration over there in
Liechtenstein Castle in Germany.
Germany, yeah.
Austria?
Wagner, the Dream King built it, and he had a gay lover. That was Wagner, the classical composer. Wagner. They used to like traipse through the forest together, and then they ended up drowning them in the lake that's not far down from that castle. But anyways, it was back in the day. I went a long ways. I'm down the rabbit hole as I'm explaining the rabbit hole picture I have right here beside me. But it was really ironic because this person said, "Oh, I really enjoyed the Mad Hatter host." Well, that's not the end of it. Because if you get up from this mock studio that I have here, which by the way is this is a real mural that I have a laser pointer at with stars that I can go in or out of. And if I get up from here, and this is where I produce and write music, but it's much bigger than this, and it goes around. And if you go up the steps, there's Alice in Wonderland having dinner at these tables, and it's all the rabbit hole. I'm down in the rabbit hole. So when he said, "I really enjoyed the Mad Hatter host," I was like, "I'll take that."
It's a compliment.
I'm not. Almost felt like looking for a hidden camera. Like, how the hell did he know? Where are you? This guy is like living down here somewhere. I don't even know that he's here.
But a lot of times you don't. The thing is, you don't give audience to that, and you don't acknowledge it because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they say, because in your soul, in your spirit, when you hear the truth, it resonates. And so the people that are to be reached are going to be reached, and the idiots that think they know everything and are disillusioned in the matrix, then let them be in their ignorance.
Right. Now, just to cover this, because I'm sure that everybody loves to scrutinize the host heavily, and that usually comes in the way of them saying that I always like orange, but it's really like I have a pool. It's the end of summer. Honestly, I'm just tan. I'm really tan. I'm not going to flash you and show you my stomach, but I'm really tan everywhere. Well, not everywhere, but really tan. And basically, I kind of stay that way. I kind of enjoy it. I love the sun, and the fact that it's a lot closer than we ever knew before is really kind of fun when you're sitting out and looking at it, and you're like, wow, this is a totally different relationship I have with the sun now. Now I know I enjoyed the sun my entire life.
And
But
I'm
yeah,
lily white because I'm inside most of the time. I go out when I can, but I did get a little sun when I was in Medford, which made it less
but it
lily
feels
white.
good, doesn't it? For me, it's like recharging my batteries.
I love digging in the flower beds and being outside. I just don't
Yeah.
have any flower
Yeah,
beds
that's
at
another
home.
thing. I don't just lay in it. I mean, I'm hauling
You're
trees. I'm
reading.
No, no. I mean, like, yeah, when I'm laying on my stomach to get my back and my legs tan. But other than that, I mean, I'm riding horses out there. I'm mucking stalls. I'm building things. I'm sawing down trees and then cutting those limbs up and hauling those to the other sides of the acres. The whole time I'm out in the sun. I mean, it'd be
I did
hours.
that. I did that
You
for
know,
6 years.
and I'm not interested in the boogeyman about what people have to say about the evil sun, by the way. God, look at everything now. Now you look back and you go, oh, that's why they didn't want us to be around it. It's kind of like going barefoot on wet grass. It's so good for your energy because
That's why they wanted you to use suntan
that
lotion.
that's why the shoe industry is so big, because they don't want us as humans, and they build big cities of concrete because they want to disconnect you from the natural energy that's available on earth. You connect it to the earth and then into the ether in the air, which the Tartarian Empire for 7,000 years, all the way across earth and all the continents, everybody knew that. It was like a common knowledge, and everybody was barefoot and they loved it, and they had like great inspired thoughts all the time, and not to mention the perks that came with that: free energy, and everything was free. Food was bountiful, and there was just stores, but you didn't have to bring cash because there was no money. And there was no rich and no poor. Everybody could have whatever that they wanted at any time. So there weren't all the hidden agendas and the backstabbing and the private deals and the locking people up and the hiding things and all that stuff too. So you have to understand that when this full knowledge of Tartaria and what's been hidden from us comes back, which is going to, it's the police department will be done away with. Politicians will no longer be necessary. If you start going through the framework of our very widely thought of and lit the environment, the universe that we find ourselves right now is built from all kinds of restrictions and compartments that will be obliterated when we're all free.
Cut the red tape.
Yeah. So I made a comment, or well, first of all, before we go there, anything that is on your heart or mind, or
Well, we're not all perfect, and this last week I've been faced with some challenges, and the crescendo was last
hey
night.
Sally, hey Margaret, sorry, I'm just waving.
I didn't sleep very well, and I spent the time breathing, and I must have fallen asleep while I was breathing, because when I woke up this morning, it was all gone. So the power of breathing and pulling your vibrations up with love and relaxing, I was able to push through something that has been pushing on me for a week, and so yeah, it's we all have our times where we struggle,
Well,
and
we are having a human experience. I mean, on purpose, and but but you know, if people go back and watch our anything, all of our content that we've made so far, I'm not going to go back through it about how
right,
who we were to each other when we were kids.
yeah,
And then when you started to come back through the magic of the internet and actually get wind of me again and what I was up to, and how you gave me kudos and credits for kind of like opening your mind and considering some things, and that in the consideration of those things that you began to feel better, and you began to go,
oh
hold on
gosh,
a second, I got the reins right here.
yeah,
I've been listening. I've been in the collective consciousness too long, not realizing how much creation power that I actually have. And he's reminding me, and it feels good. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna listen to something else that he says and see if. And I mean, I think ultimately with anybody like Christ on the cross, where the people got it wrong later, he didn't ask you to praise him and to look up to him and to forget yourself and to make him a god and to make him a superstar. He was trying to say, look at what you can do. If you can just let yourselves off the hook long enough, the power of creation is yours. Jesus spent 14 years with the Essenes up in the mountain. By the way, they took away books of the Bible on purpose so you wouldn't know this.
yeah,
Okay? And he, by the way, he wasn't meek and submissive and a pauper and poor with rags strewn with dirt and soil everywhere that he dragged with him. His family was one of the richest in town. So much so that when they crucified him, they gambled for his clothing because it was so amazing of design and its fabric and its textiles. Jesus had beautiful things that he wore. He adorned himself very well. That whole thing of you must be poor to get it done was an
and
extorted
humble
thing. Well, they said, and the meek shall inherit the earth. The definition of meek isn't submissive like a doormat, and that you will never raise your voice, and that you will be humble, and that you will put everybody else first, and you'll subjugate your desires and your wants and your dreams and your wishes. The definition of meek just merely means one word: disciplined. And if you just exchange it out, say, the disciplined shall inherit the earth. And baby, let me tell you, that is the truth because I am disciplined, very disciplined. But I just want to say that instead of, I never wanted somebody to look at me and then lose their way and lose the point, lose the thing. I stop looking at and listening to me. If you're ever gonna like put me here and you here, that is not. Let me unpeel that. And I don't think anybody does, by the way. I'm just saying, just in case you're putting your there's several camps of people all my life around me that get a load of me or get a brush of me or walk by me or in a room in the different decades of my life. There's haters and there's congratulators. There's either people that see me as excellent and something that they envy or covet and they want to destroy it. They want it gone because it's reminding them too much of everything that they want that they don't feel like that they can attain. So they want to crush it. Those people, trust me, all my life. And then there's the other people, and they're like, "You're, that's great. I love what you're doing. I'm so proud of you." I'm so now that camp that's proud of me, that congratulates, sees my intent. That's I'm also in that camp, and I want all of you.
to
I
be
want
in
to see
that.
the best version of yourselves. I don't want you to stop and outsource it to me. I want you to pick up the reins that are there with you and to go and start getting and start creating and start feeling and start understanding that what you're feeling has been creating the content of your life the entire time, whether you knew it or not. And I'm just saying, I'm just trying to go, hey, guys, psst, hey, if you do this deliberately, then you'll only have wanted things happen around you. and you'll always be surprised and be in the delight stream, as
Right.
opposed to this roller coaster to hell sometimes. I made a comment earlier in our Patriot Party, and I just put it out there. And although it was a lovely comeback, one of our members, was like, well, we can't all, in a sense, that life is hard, it's frustrating, and it's daunting sometimes thinking of all this heady stuff. And while I understand that, I have also said, and I should always begin and end it this way so that you guys don't forget, nothing that feels daunting is worth doing or worth thinking about. So stop thinking about anything that I've ever said then. And this, go back to where you were before you, like if somebody is trying to wake you up and shaking you when you're sleeping and you're having a really good dream, don't wake up and stay in the dream, in the limited dream. But I promise you that while it seems daunting and hard, um, indeed, it's not. And you've misread or misunderstood that there was ever anything that you needed to change. There's nothing that you need to change. I just want you to understand that if you, that thing that keeps eluding you, whether that be um, something that you want or yeah. So from health, if you want like the most beautiful body, or you want really big number of balance in your accounts, or you want communication to be a good give and take with your people that you love, and you don't want this disgruntled fighting, bickering going on all the time. If you ask most people, they could give you a shopping list of all the things that they don't want anymore. But it's very difficult to get them to tell you what they do desire, what they do love, because it's been so long they've been exercising the muscle of actually acknowledging and being able to define and describe for you everywhere that they drag their sad tail of all the shit that broke, and how much that they hate it, and that they don't like seeing it around them, and they can't stand the people that are also still doing it, and so they blame them for a reason not to go. And people sometimes get confused when I say you're using it as an excuse not to go. You know that. And they're like, I don't even know what you mean, not to go. Go where? In the car? I'm like,
Right.
no, you're using it as a reason not to start, because it's delicious in the procrastination. You want to keep the gap open because you know how delicious it's going to be when you arrive at your aha moment. And this is what people do. This is why we're here hundreds of lifetimes, by the way. They keep outsourcing and distancing, being closing the gap of becoming totally activated, because they come here for that. They come here for the delicious dance of living the limited dream, because they full well know better that it's just an illusion, that it's a what, Andrea? A movie. It's a
Yep.
movie.
It's a movie. It's a
And there's
matrix.
nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. So the people that commented, or this, just this morning in particular, one person, please, there is nothing wrong with any place that you are. That would be impossible. There's no right, there's no wrong, there's no good, there's no bad, there's no righteous, there's no evil, there's just outcomes and fallout from vibrational resonance. And I'm trying to, not residence, but resonance. So I'm trying to tell you that the ether is a bountiful, always present, resonating chamber of which you can tap into or you can deny. It's your choice. There's nothing wrong with not understanding these things and having a bountiful life this time. There's nothing wrong with that. Have your misery and your struggle and your setbacks. I'm not being facetious. There's nothing wrong with that. You're still bringing the experience of being of thinking of things as hard and being limited. You're still bringing that experience back to the whole, the WWG1 WGA, where we go one, we go all of the people that are homeless right now, living the limited dream in the streets, that there's a limited supply and that they run out of chances, or they this is the outcome of a life of bad choices. There's nothing wrong with what they're experiencing. They're doing it on purpose, by the way. I know that sounds cold of me, but let me further. Everybody that's having a really bad sordid tale experience right now, even prisoners in prison and other things, they're doing so on purpose for the experience of of how it's going to feel when it's done and they experience the opposite. They're also putting it in their way to remind them of what their original dream was, because you never ever check this metaphor out. You never ever fully appreciate the use of both of your feet until one of them ends up sprained in a cast and you have crutches. For that next month, baby, you are totally reminded of how much you were taking for granted your perfect healthy ankles. Like it's like vividly in your face. You're like, oh my god, why did I take for granted my perfect ankles this long? And you swear to yourself, when I come out of this and when my ankle doesn't feel bad anymore and it's working perfectly again, I'm never going to take it for granted again. See? And so you put things in your path in an incarnation on purpose. Andrea, you put debt, you put people misunderstanding you, you put jobs and managers and things that your communication falls apart or you're not appreciated. You put all that in your path on purpose so that it can remind you of how you actually want to feel. But
Yeah.
instead of going with where you wanted, it reminded you that you preferred, you stop and linger and you lock yourself into it, the broken, and you use that to define you as an excuse not to let yourself go. And that's what I mean by not letting yourself go. That's what I
Yeah.
mean by that. Not get in the car and go, although you can do that. But yeah.
Yeah. The experiences, everything that you're going through in your life are the um movie, are the circumstances that you chose when you came into this meat suit, earth suit, whatever you call it. um every life that you've lived prior and the life that you chose to live here now is a reminder of how you want things to be in the future. And it really is an eye opener. It was, reading that one of the texts from the Patriot Party reminded me, because I've been married twice, I've been divorced twice, and I definitely know what I do want. And it's a brutal experience to go through, but I know what I want. And making the same mistake twice. I didn't learn it the first time, so I had to go through it a second time.
Yeah. I mean, I've been down a regret lane numerous times. And I mean, we're human. And I'm not going to give some fantasy tale, especially as I make my run for governor of Kentucky, because it's going to be from outside agents that are definitely the enemy that are coming for me. And they're going to dig it all up, anything that they can find. You
Yeah.
know, and I'm not ashamed of anything, and I'm not hiding from anything. I'll tell you that there's what things that they're not going to find. They're not going to find me child trafficking or murdering people. Okay, they're not going to find, and they're not going to find me making backdoor deals for adrenochrome, so I can get high like a junkie, like Gaga, and go to the big meat party up at the Playboy Mansion. They're not going to find any of that. So you're going to have to keep on looking. What are you going to find? And I know that you people, not everybody has the stomach or the courage for this type of stuff, but you know what? That's okay. I know that you all love me, and I know that you support and the patriot and the intent and everything about really my bottom. If I have an agenda, it's certainly not hidden. And it is for people everywhere, not just in the United States. But we used to be considered the beacon on the hill, and if our light gets extinguished, it's gone everywhere. And I don't know how else to start. But I was going to sign up for dog catcher, but then I realized that the police chief is probably going to pass a rule as dog catcher, I'm gonna have to wear a mask from door to door. So then I was gonna go for police chief, and then I realized that the mayor is probably gonna extort and make sure that and threaten the police chief that if he doesn't do what the mayor says, that he's gonna have to that he has to wear his mask and get vaccinated as well, or he's not gonna get his paycheck anymore. So I couldn't be police chief. And then I was gonna be mayor, but then I thought, well, there's some state legislators that are going to pass some local stuff here, and then they're going to try to give me an audit and threaten me if I don't adhere to their committee bylaws, whereby that I am passing down fear-mongering mandates of separations, of breaches in the HIPAA law and the Nuremberg codes, and that I'm just part of the extorted machine trying to take down humankind and civil liberties. So I couldn't be that. So then I thought, you know what? There's always governor. If I have to, might as well. Well, I'm being facetious, but I say that because there's one thing, for better and for worse, that we just recently realized is that the governors in all these states that were supposed to have Trump's back turned out to be lying, deceitful, clowns in masks. That they have a term, they call them rhinos.
Rhinos.
And that they actually were in on the whole thing. Well, the truth of American politics is that there's never been a two-party system here ever.
No.
The global elite set up the two parties to have people think
that they have a choice.
Give them false confidence that their voice mattered, and it's never mattered. So there's a lot.
They've had their fingers and their everything in the background. It's just like the Rothschilds when they funded the war on both sides. Here, kill each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same thing.
Now, bear in mind that there are some people that are pseudo famous like me that are friends of mine, and they'll say things while they're doing, like Ricky Rebel that was going around with MAGA. It's fun to be in the MAGA, and he was using YMCA, and he was going around from city to city when Trump had a rally, and he'd be outside of it. And he's a recording artist. He was a backup singer with on Epic Records, and he was with the Britney Spears, her original tours, and blah blah blah. Anyway, he's a Trumper and a mega, and he'd have his mom on podcasts, and she'd say, "Now, Ricky, tell them exactly what I told you to tell them," and he'd go, "Okay, Mom." He'd go, "Okay, everybody, just for the record, I would never commit suicide. If you ever find my body, I did not commit suicide." So that went around for a while, that I would have to, as DT, say to all of you, just let you guys know, they got to me. If they find me, you hear a story that I committed suicide, I'm telling you now, I will never commit suicide. Well, I'm even past that, because I'm way more activated and powerful than that. I'm not scared or in fear of anything. In fact, I'm going to control all of them. Nobody's going to get to me. I will literally, I have forces. I actually will corral them and usher them out of the vicinity. Where I go, I have the forces of knowledge of how to actually vibrate it in a steady manner. A bullet would go around my head if even directed in my vicinity. So I'm not concerned about anything. And you'd be like right now going, "Oh, DT, don't say that. There's going to be somebody that's going to put that test." I'm like, that's not why I'm saying it. I'm just telling you that they would love for you guys to never even start or try, out of fear of rumor that you heard about somebody else that tried and they got subdued or hurt. And I'm not available for that. I'm not available to be influenced by any kind of sordid tale that they perpetrated that was a false propaganda. By the way, they're all cowards. All of them are cowards. They have nothing. They have no soul. I have way more power than they do, because I still have a soul, and they want it.
The threat to kill you, or the threat to kill your loved ones or friends or family or whatever, I think my response would be, okay, I'll see him again. Can't control me.
No, I have lots of messages.
I know you're You're the master right now. You can control your
I am a master.
universe.
I am a master. I'm not the
You're
master.
not
But
the master, right?
no,
But you
no.
are a master, and um,
I am
I'm a mini master. Getting there.
well, see, you past, present, and future are all happening simultaneously. I have this thing I want to tell you about because it came to me today when I was taking all the plastic covers off of the big decks because we had a surprise rain shower yesterday, and all of a sudden, oh my god, I got to do this because we had 10 straight days of sun, 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 sun in our forecast. And then
Yeah.
suddenly out of nowhere, they go, oh, 40% chance in 2 hours. I'm like, what? So I had to go down there and do all this stuff. But anyways, in the process of doing it, whatever I'm ever doing, I'm doing it full well knowing while I'm doing it as well that I'm never in any hurry or rush. I'm not doing it in haste or disdain, and that I'm valuing the opportunity to do it. And I'm looking around and I'm valuing the stuff. And that sounds like, oh God, you're too much. You're too much. We can't all be like that. It's like, that's not the point. But I will tell you that by doing that, instead of griping, disgruntled, belabored, dragging me, oh, I feel so, all of that resentment. Instead of having the normal stuff, I think that some people do, like, oh, I gotta go do this. I never say I gotta go do something. I go, I get to go do this. So anyway, while I was doing it in that spirit, which I do everything, I was available for the continued inspired idea. And this is the idea that came to me. And this is really great. And I told Ron, I'm like, hey, check this out. This is a new perspective. And it comes with the expansion and the expanded version as I keep up with who I'm becoming or who I am or whatever. But anyways, you know how most people think that they are on a journey or on a path and that they're going somewhere, and that when they that or maybe people perceives people, one such as myself, that there's a long ways to go to get there, or that they'll this thing about vibration raising, that they think that it's a separate location that's still not here now, but something that they'll hopefully, if everything works out well, that they'll get to one day. That's not how it's ever happened. And check this out, because this was a really cool moment for me today. As you continue to deliberately maintain consistent a certain level of vibration, which is done by, if you can't think a really great exhilarating thought, you just realize that in that moment to try to not think about anything then. Because if you go general, Abraham calls it going general. If you just can go general and not be specific about anything, you're better off than putting your 2 cents in. Okay, just like, and that's a good thing for the page. Yeah, yeah, that's a good thing for the Patriot Party, because I want to let you guys know sometimes I'm like super fast and I'm just like riddling, just like firing all this stuff at you, and you're like, oh my god, I'm never going to remember it. And I'm trying to tell you, if any of it gets too heady or daunting, was the key word, just go general. If you can just go general and not be specific about anything, I promise you that within about 60 seconds of going general intentionally, just thinking about nothing, you automatically rev up again, and you get the next inspired idea that takes you, and it sends you in a direction that you wouldn't have otherwise. So let me get to the thing. I still haven't gotten to it. So I'm taking the plastic off and stuff, and it occurred to me, like as if I was hearing dimensional voices said, you understand that each time that you've expanded, DT, you haven't gone anywhere. You've just slipped through a veil. And it's not that you moved through the veil, it's the veil crosses into you. And so you don't have to go anywhere. It actually comes to you. There's a whole new dimensional aspects and access that I have that I didn't go and get. It came to me. It arrived here.
You draw it to you. The attraction.
It literally comes right
law of
to
attraction.
you. You don't have to go, I wonder when it's going to come. There's a couple people, again, you notice I'm not outing anybody, also in our groups, that recently, I give consultations. And so I do that on purpose because people usually don't hear something unless they're paying for it. And I love money, and I put a value on my information and knowledge and time. So I feel great about all of that, as well as they should. Anybody that's ever taken me up on that,
Okay.
we've had that dance. No, go ahead.
I'll be right back. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah.
Keep talking.
Okay. So I was saying that that what going back to the daunting thing, like if anything ever seems daunting or hard, or that you're trying to figure it out, if you're trying to figure it out, literally in the what could be frustrating or the frustration, the vibration of frustration, um, isn't conducive and isn't empowering the thing that you think that you want. So you can't keep on practicing um, thinking that there's a time limit, a timetable, a finish line, or a limited supply. You can't use the same rhetoric, the words, the processes, the things that they've told you is how life works. Isn't. It's the opposite almost at every level. It's completely opposite. It's cart and horse. That's what I was trying to say. It's cart and horse. If you have, if you're looking, if I was looking, we've talked about this before. If I was looking for success in the way of a Grammy, like for a song that I wrote, the best way now that I would go and get that is that the very first thing that I would do is I would make sure to get in touch with bypassing every time that my mind went to how it feels to still have it missing, which is an interesting thing. And if I couldn't figure out how to do that, like I've told everybody, the best way for the universe to naturally do that for you is to stop thinking about it ever again. And the best way to stop thinking about it ever again, but then people go, but then how am I going to get it if I don't focus on my dreams? And I'm like, because every dream is like a stick. It has two ends. And most people that are going for something are mostly still noticing the thing that they want missing, as opposed to how it feels to actually having. You see? And Abraham talks about this. And I know that you've read some of her, him, them's books. It's weird. They literally come with a list of pronouns. Yeah. They're woke. No. I hate that word anyway. I don't really hate anything, but so if you're going for something, Andrea, if you're tell me something right now, let's do a little thing. This is our how to manifest anything portion still. Tell me something, tell all of us something. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Unleashed Now. Hi, Sally. Hi, Margaret, and others that are here with us. Tell me something right now that you want, that you're dreaming of, that you would desire, whether a situation change or the location change, a thing, an item. Try to keep it specific. I want to use it as a tool instead of me yakking all the time.
Farm in Kentucky.
A farm in Kentucky. Okay. How do you think that farm in Kentucky is going to feel? Oh, wait. Let's back up. Do you think that right now that you can afford a farm in Kentucky?
Not currently.
Not currently. How much do you think, just off the top of your head, do you think that the number it would cost for this farm in Kentucky? You know, there's all kinds of different price tags on different size farms, but what is your price tag?
I'm looking at several, so it's like 2.6 million to about 7.
Okay, yeah. So does that number seem outlandish, like unrelatable?
No, not at all.
Okay, why
I know
doesn't it?
I know it's on its way.
Okay, so what are you doing to close that gap when you to get this manifestation
I'm
to
just
occur?
I'm thankful. I'm thankful and and loving to the universe for the abundance that I have.
Right. So there is a trick to closing the gap on something that you want that still hasn't joined you. And it's by um, looking around the room at something that already has joined you. Check this out. You know, when you go to a store and you see some piece of clothing and you go, oh my God, that is me. That's really going to make me feel better. I'm going to feel jazzy in that. That's going to really drape well on me considering my body shape. It's going to be great coloring. Have other things I can bring to bear with it. You bring it home. You can afford it. You already bought it, whether it's on a credit card or not. You just had to have it. You just threw it to the wind. You come home with it. You take it out of the bag. You can't wait to try it on. You were right. Well, you tried it on maybe before in the store, so you already know. So you bring it home, and then your closet doors are up, and you go, oh my God, I forgot about that piece in there. That's gonna go. That now you sometimes one piece of clothing can rejuvenate all the stuff that you hadn't been wearing for a while, right? Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Just say right for anybody that's listening in their car. Okay. She is here,
no,
people. I swear to
right.
God, she's right in front of me. Yeah. Remember, there's people in their cars right now listening to us on radio.
Okay.
So,
This is new. What I'm wearing is new and it's beautiful
it's
and it makes me
beautiful. But
feel
good. I
it makes
love that
me
that
feel
she
good.
said that. Listen to what she just said. She said it's new and it's beautiful. You know, some people are apologetic about like embracing, like, you know, allowing themselves to feel it. Exuberance has gotten a bad name. If I ever get critiqued on any of my videos, it's usually because of my exuberance. People just want to crush it because they're like, that's too much. You shouldn't be that exuberant. It's like, no, baby, let me tell you, the amount of minutes forming into half hours and hours that I'm exuberant has great manifestational fallout. Anyway, so a wormhole to close the gap on you and that vibration of the Kentucky farm is to um, is to do is to do what, Andrea? What would be the most powerful thing you could do to close the gap, the time gap, and the
To imagine me there and how it will feel to live on the land and grow my own food
and
and
how will that
be
feel?
in nature.
And how will that feel?
I don't know if I can even describe it. It's uh joyful, appreciative, um, just being in nature and part of everything. I lived that way before on the banks of the North St. Anne River in Oregon, and it's just you walk out, you watch the eagles fly, and you smell the rain coming, and being in the land on the land. There's just so many things.
Yeah. Now, so does it feel good?
Oh yeah.
Does it feel familiar? Okay. Is there anything around you right now within the room that you're at that feels like that? Okay, this is why I brought up going out and buying something new and then bringing it back and seeing how it just brings new life to everything that you were just walking by all the time. There's a wormhole to things that you want to manifest. A lot of people fail isn't the word that seems derogatory, but there's a disconnect is really what happens. So um, you have the reason why is because people make it too unreasonable, that either from lack of self-worth or it's not practical or it's impossible or it's probably not probable, or I just shared my dream with Sally and Sally said no, it's not going to happen, girl, you're never going to get that much money. And so now I have a doubt about my own dreams. And that's why, by the way, back in the day when I very first had, you know, my when the students ready the master always mysteriously appears in any form that's available, and through my spiritual journey, back in the day in the masters. Well, I'll just call them masters. I'm not like up on a hill with a robe on, and I didn't have to drink any Kool-Aid. But there are masters that reminded me, teachers in various forms, whether it be authors or whatever, that reminded me that that there are all kinds of casual, usual things that can infuse doubt in that dream of people that are skeptical around you for whatever reason. So that's why it's important that when you have a dream, it's okay. I didn't set you up like this. We're using this, and I think you're confident enough. You can share your dreams, and you're not available for somebody else's pessimism to take down the knowledge that you have of a manifestation. But up until somebody that's not even at your level, a lot of people that are before this level don't share your dreams with other people, because you're going to get a very slowed vibration response to the futility of ever having a dream that big. And if you take them at their word and they're important to you, they may influence you to not dream so big, to not understand how thoughts become things. So just keep it to yourself. And that was one of the very first things that somebody ever taught me about manifesting, was to let it linger hidden. I'm not hidden, but to let it linger silently, and to just keep trying it on and how it feels. So, and then, so that was like 101, level. And now I'm at who knows what. But along that trail, I use black holes to get that Grammy. Say if I want a Grammy for a song, I don't go to the end. Going to the end is like going on a rafting trip with your church or some group, and they're all going to put their rafts in at this part of the river. And then there's like two guys that are going to meet them where they're going to get out of the river, down river, that they have trucks, so after 4 or 5 hours of taking a slow, beautiful journey on the river, at the end, they're all going to come over to this little ramp shore, and they're going to tell their beautiful experience with their sunburned shoulders of their great rafting day. Remember the Willamette River going through Corvallis? We used to go down there with the church and do this very thing. So
burnt my calves.
And burnt. I still have the sunburn. No, I'm kidding. So a lot of people want to, when they think about something that they want, they go, you know what? Never mind. Put my raft back in the truck and I'm going to drive down with you guys. So you guys go ahead on the river. I'm just going to drive down with you guys in the truck to where we're all going to end up, because I want my manifestation now. I want the manifestation of where you're going to pick us up now. Okay? So, and then you say to them, but I thought you wanted the journey down the river. I thought that was the delicious thing. So you see, never rob yourself of the leg time between you and your dreams and your manifestations. Don't rush it. It's delicious in the journey of how it unfolds. Let it unfold. Watch the magic of your dreams come in as they come in. Don't go impatiently like, well, where is it? I don't believe it then. DT was wrong. I didn't get my thing. I didn't get my exchange rate on my foreign currency. I didn't get my house. I didn't get my thing. It's like, well, you were sitting over there white knuckling, insisting that it show up in only one way. The universe saw you in that pensive stew of stagnation and breathing, insisting that thing was what you needed to fulfill you, to help you feel good. And so the thing couldn't find you. It passed over your house, because when it looked down into your house, all it saw was you with your head down going, it's still not here. It's still not here. I'm upset. You can't be there and have it join you.
Right.
You can't have it both ways. It's self-manifesting. So
I
people
do have
wait,
3 giant trees in my backyard that I can stand in the middle of, which I've been doing.
Go hug them.
I stand in the middle of the trees,
lick them.
and I just admire the canopy, and I look at the sky, and I'm standing barefoot. So yeah, there is that. I don't. Most of what I have in my house are either they're keepsakes or antiques, and so I don't like a lot of clutter. I don't like excess stuff. Mm-hmm. So I don't have a lot of new things. I have new clothes. I love clothes. And then, it's like looking at my grandmother's china that I have gives me such joy.
Yeah.
And those are the things that I
So
resonate with.
So this is how we manifest anything. So what you want to do is first determine, have a little powwow with yourself at some point and make it deliberate. Don't make it wishy-washy. Go and don't apologize for it because you can have anything. And by the way, don't get disgruntled about a timetable because there is a leg time between a thought and the actual manifestation that's a fallout of it, and it's there on purpose because along between that time and days or weeks or months after that, you get time to refine it. And let me tell you, a lot of times you have an idea of something that you want, but you haven't been um, allowing yourself to dream for so long because one, a lot of people told you that you weren't allowed to dream and you believed them, and so you're not very good at it. So give yourself a moment. A lot of people think that they want something, and then really they didn't really want that thing at all. They just wanted the feeling that they attached that they thought was going to come with it, and
Well, and also
they use
the
it as a symbol.
and also it's the idea that they're, I guess, caught up in the grind, and they allow um, the busyness of the life, the job, driving to and from, taking care of the family, doing chores, and allowing that to not, I guess, to block that dream because your mind is so busy elsewhere, and to
Yeah.
bring your mind
Hey,
back and to drop,
Michelle.
no matter what you're doing.
Michelle's here. Love
To
me some Michelle. Hi, Michelle. Hey, yeah. So look at what they're trying to do now. You see how they took it to the next level. So they had gotten, first of all, back in Tartarian, might be a segue. Back in Tartaria, they didn't have money or currency of any kind. They just had a bounty of everything, anything that you need, and all energy was free. So you could fly around, or you could go visit people, and they had unlimited food, and you had unlimited food. You didn't need energy, and you didn't pay any bills, and there were no taxes because there's no money, and people were tapped in because they felt great because they weren't spending all day noticing, comparing, yourself to the Joneses. How am I doing? The Kardashians are doing better. I'm not doing better. They're doing better. I need more. I'm never going to have enough. They've got more. I need that because they look like they're happy. Well, that was a photo op. They're not happy at all. They're miserable, by the way. Don't go after having stuff to get happy because that ain't ever going to happen. But in Tartarium, um, you know, they anyways, I forgot where I was going with that one. But
the
back
ease of living.
yeah, this is what it is. After they reset history, rewrote history, and did the big reset, and they trained in the orphans, and they only, like the Rockefeller moniker for their education books was, only teach them enough to man the factory, but not enough to go exploring. Don't ever give the people enough education to go explore. Only give them enough information to do their 9 to 5 shift or their shift at the factory. And that's the truth. And
and,
I
and those
wanted
are
to,
the children that raise the future.
that was our great grandparents or our grandparents. So what I wanted to say about that was that you're talking about the grind. They did the grind on purpose. First of all, they put taxation in 1913, and they started taxing everything. They tax you on this money, then they tax it again. Then if you left it to people after you're dead, they tax them, and then they if you on your income tax, and then if you got mutual funds that escalated and got interest during the year, you had to pay tax on that money that was already your money that already your paid. So it was all extorted. It was to keep you in prison, so you had to keep going to the grind. And the grind isn't something that you chose. It was something that was in your local area because you need to pay the bills, the utility bills, and to put food on the table to keep yourself alive to go back to the grind. And in that whole thing, you forgot that the power has always been yours. So when you can, please just put the brakes on and stop working at the grind and look at what they recently just did. They took where what the grind is, and now You're not allowed to work at the grind unless you can show proof that you've injected the poison. Now they're not allowing you to work anymore unless you've injected the poison. So not only did you not even want to go to that job, now they're blocking you from going to it to get the money you need to survive unless you do the next step, which is to inject the poison. So hear me well. Stop going to the grind. Get out of there. Pull your kids out of the places that are demanding them to restrict their breathing airways and to take the poison. Come back home. Now, get still and quiet and get back to asking yourself, what do I love? I forgot. Because, hey, let me tell you, a 90-year-old in a nursing home will tell you it goes like that. You're 50, you're 60, you're 70, Medicaid, Medicare, adult diaper, heartbeat, flatline, gone. You know what? Put the brakes on. Come back home. Go, what do I love? What do I love? What thrills me? What gets me going, man? What makes my heart get going? And forsake anything and everything else and start going, using your imagination. You know what? For now, we still have the internet. And the internet's a great tool if you know how to use it. I use it really well. I create a lot of content and I create good opportunities. And I go using my inspired ideas. I go down rabbit holes and I find gold at the end of every single one. You can do it too. You don't have to be stuck in the sordid MSM tale of fear and mongering and chasing your tail in a vicious loop. Get out of there, take a break, find out what you love, and start doing it. I promise you, money and abundance and opportunities will find you once it feels that you're doing what you love, and you won't be remanded to take a poison. You won't have to wear a mask. So maybe this whole thing has been, it's going to help humanity, Andrea. Look at it
Yes.
like, let's start looking at it like that. Instead of like that we're victims. Let's stop, take away that we're victims and go, wait, maybe we are all doing this on purpose to do the final wake-up call to remind us, hold on, I draw my line in the sand here. This is where I get off. Stop this bus. I'm getting off, and I don't care what happens. I'm throwing all caution to the wind. I'm going to take a chance, and I'm going to find out what I love, and I'm going to go do it, and I'm going to do it unrestricted. I'm not going to have my breathing of the beautiful free oxygen that's my God-given inalienable right to do. And I'm going to go do that. You're not going to take a metal spike and jab it into me without my permission. I do not consent. So I'm not going to expose myself to you. I'm not going to go to the buildings you're saying that are off limits to me. Excuse me, I got to go ahead and do it. Fuck your buildings. Okay? I don't want to be in those ugly damn buildings anyways because they weren't Tartarian architecture and they're not resonating with my design. Okay, how about that? Every damn building that they want you to strap on a mask and take a poison, those are ugly square walls. I don't want to be in there. I want to be in the beautiful places. So that was the best I can do. Did you feel it? Stop, go doing the grind. Take enough moment to realize that when they blocked you from something, that's helping you. Don't go, damn it, they're restricting us and they're closing in, and pretty soon I'm not going to be able to move. I'll be locked in my house. It's like, no, don't paint yourself as a victim. Go, opportunity time. Okay, this is it. This is it. I have a renewed vigor to go find out what I love now. And you know what? What's the worst that could happen? It's not going to work out, and then I'll have to go get the vaccine and then wear a mask and work the assembly line for the rest of my life. Well, at least I know I tried. And by the way, you'll never have to do that if you take a break and find out what you love. Because this whole thing is trying to wake you up to have you go and do it. So I love that. I just came up with that. It feels right, though. It feels good.
It does. Because, you know, the last few years that I was working, I liked it less and less. When I was younger, I really thrived on it because I was the best. I was always the best. And as I got older and I wasn't the best, it started to feel like a grind. It started to feel like an effort that I was putting in. And so when in May, I left my job. I have had the best summer that
Oh yeah,
I've
Andrea, talk about this because this is the context that I'm talking about. You were, and when we reconnected, you were at the threshold of this. What is to was perceived or could have been perceived as a setback, but you, because of your advance, your acceleration at the molecular level, and in your thoughts, you went, what the hell? I'll try it on. DT is saying, this and this and this, and I know he's right, but just because I know he's right doesn't mean that I'm gonna go and risk it, type thing. But you turned a setback into an opportunity.
yes, and
Right.
it's like
That's at the core of it.
it's not that it was a combination of, it was mutual, leaving my employment, and
I mean, you
used
kind of
that,
want to,
yeah.
screw you guys.
Well, I wasn't able to collect unemployment either, so I'm 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 fine. I'm stuff is worked out, and
Well, no, yeah, but I'm going to remind you of what I want you to say, because you you went after you heard about something, and you dipped your toe in the pool of it, and
yeah.
then the pieces got, it looked like, moved without your permission, but that was actually you. It's just that you weren't doing it affirmatively because you didn't have the courage at the time. So you had them do it, which was um, act like they were severing, like they were making choices. That was actually you through them. So when that happened, suddenly you had a lot of free time on your hands. What did you do? You went down and rekindled and reunited and had this great exchange again with your mom and your aunt, and right in the nick of time, because then she just passed away.
No, she didn't pass away.
Oh, what happened to her?
No, she went to the hospital. She's got congestive heart failure, and
Oh,
she
right, but it was a
couldn't breathe.
scare. It was a
Yeah,
scare. But you were glad that you had that. I'm sorry.
yeah. No, that's fine.
I didn't mean to say that.
She's the most incredible human being, and I loved her as a kid.
Right.
And going down and spending 3 whole months with her was incredible as an adult. That I played the 10,000 dice game every day.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
I
know
love
how
that.
many times a day.
I
And
love
we
that game.
sat and talked, and I reorganized her kitchen and made things easier for her and my mom, and I cleaned things up, and
Right.
I just did what I do, and I took care of them when they were sick, because they got sick. And I find this very funny, because our water cups, hers has a blue top and mine has this purple. I accidentally drank from her cup while she was really sick, and I was like,
Can't
oh well,
affect you.
I'm not going to get sick
You
anyway.
can't catch anything from somebody else. Anything.
I didn't, and it's because
people don't believe that. It's like, of course
you
don't.
just choose not to. And
Well,
I
you
was
just
able,
understand how that it's only an answer to a need.
yeah.
Yes.
But
I can't get sick.
my my biggest joy was waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, doing my meditations, doing getting ready for the day, and then I would go and water all the plants, because it was hot, like 104 almost.
Yeah, it was like you were frying eggs for breakfast on the sidewalk.
And I would go for a walk.
Normal things.
And I don't know if I watered before or after, it doesn't matter. But kneeling down and digging in the soil and pulling weeds, and taking care of her flower beds. I love it. And it
I love pulling weeds.
Soul.
So satisfying pulling weeds. I know it.
So, I mean, that experience, and then coming home and kind of looking for work, not looking for work. And I've been spending so much time reading and learning so much information. It's like the Iron Republic.
Yeah.
That thing is 2,000 and something pages long, and I'm halfway through. I'm a little over halfway through it.
I know, and
And
I'm going. I'm laying these books on you, and you're like, ah,
yeah, it's like you send me another link.
stop,
Here, read this book.
halt, stop. I have to actually sleep at some point.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was my joke. I'll just stop sleeping. But I've I love to read, and I love to absorb information, and so this is, if a book is interesting to me, I do very well. I read it quickly.
Right.
But the life gets in the way, and you have to do certain things. It slows things down. But I'm not doing too
You
bad.
do? You do? You
I had
sure?
the two 17-year-olds.
Well, you won't eventually, because I don't. I mean, nothing. I don't have. I'm not obligated to do anything, ever.
Right.
Like
It's just
ever.
whenever I feel like it, I'll sit down and read. And
And yeah.
sometimes hours go by and I don't even realize it. And
Oh, it's
um,
delicious. It's
it's
delicious.
fun. I love
There is no
reading.
better word in my vocabulary than delicious, man. When something is delicious, it's just delicious. That bread pudding with
Bread
that
pudding.
sauce is very delicious. And I've been doing a lot of sit-ups to make sure that I can see my muscles still. But yeah,
No,
um,
but the experience
we're gonna
of
wrap up our
intentional
manifestation thing soon.
the
Okay.
intentional choices that I vibrated last spring. I started sometime in March, and it was I created my summer, and I brought that about by the positive vibrations, and relishing in the emotions of how it was going to feel to be um, a free spirit and not connected to employment, and being able to do the things that I want to do. So um, and that's continuing, and I'm really enjoying it.
Right.
And
And I mean, like, you know what? I think that I touched on this before in another show, and I just want to I keep trying to humanize so people, like I did with my first book, to let them know that I wasn't some unrelatable like guru new age, like, sitting Indian style lotus position under a copper pyramid. That's why the hints of the structure of my first book. So I brought you from the very Sunday school classes when I was a young boy, and like what I saw, what seemed to be perceived, how I expanded, what trapped me, what seemed limited, what the push off point, what it reminded me of, and as I went, and I was going to say that your manifestation, when you get when um, this in pop culture, in the collective consciousness, using their big megaphone telegraph news machine, and in movies and in Hollywood, being kind and being exuberant and being joyful and just being like available and in the moment and not driven, have all been made the boogeyman. If you if, if you go watch any storyline or you watch anything on the news, they're never going to have a story on somebody that's kind, or a special story on how joyful somebody is, or how exuberant this whole thing is, and how much that exuberance is spreading, because they've made that like the demon. And I mean, and then I looked at our language and how it changed from Michael Jackson's Bad album, and bad started to mean good, and they turned it all upside down. They say when I'm going to crush it, means that you're really going to excel at it. Well, crushing used to mean destroy. And so now, when something is sick, oh, that's really sick, man. That means it's really great. It's really hot, but really sick to the universe means unwell, and that
up is down,
there's
down is up.
disease. So
Yeah.
they've extorted our language. You notice recently somebody brought to my attention to say good morning. The word morning originally was with a U in it, meaning that you were in sorrow. And so I stopped saying good morning as of late. I'm saying good day to you now.
Right.
And I mean,
I
it's
saw
really
that.
weird. And everybody's working for the weekend, that they're going on the grind for 5 days, and then they're spending 2 days weekend from it all. You see how
Yeah.
they're weakened? And so we're not on the weak end anymore. We're on the strong end. I'll see you next strong end. Good day. I'll see you next strong end. I know it becomes like, what? Are you from Tartaria? What's happening? Um, if I start having antennas, I actually have a filter somewhere. I can put some really cool stuff on here. I was looking at it, but so how to manifest anything in and what's your number one thing? How to manifest anything? Go. And we'll wrap part two. This is part two? No, this is part one. Okay, well, we're going to
But
speed through part two.
just relaxing and breathing and feeling the joy of your current circumstances. The universe is bringing everything that you need, and you're just reveling in it.
Right. And when you said that, I just got this picture and this really cool way to express it. Everybody is told that if they don't cross T's and dot I's and keep their nose to the grindstone and and um and and beat the other guy because it's a limited supply and it's upstream and it's a competition and I'm going to get there first, and if I don't get it, it's going to be gone. All of that is to keep you off center and uncomfortable and not stationary and not calm and not resilient and not appreciative and not easy and not feeling satisfied and feeling that what's here is enough and it feels great. It's to keep you from ever even checking in on how you're feeling at any given moment, is to keep you chasing. And into keeping you chasing, watch this, the universe is chasing you as you're not standing still and being still and calm. It's chasing you, trying to deliver your Amazon package, but you keep relocating. And so you keep the gap between you and all the stuff that you want like this. Like at times you're calm, and so it's getting closer. Oh, but then you speed ahead again. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. Be still.
Rest.
Revel.
Yeah.
Revel. Revel more. Report broken less. The amount of time it takes some of you to type your comment to me about, well, I'm not I'm worried about this, or this seems to be eluding me, or she did this, and because of her she's throwing me off. It's like, well, that would be impossible if you actually were just reveling all the time and how great it feels about the stuff that you've already acquired that you are enjoying. And by the way, if you only stay in that place, the whole universe expands immediately, and everywhere that you go becomes that. So you can't jump to a saving island from your little raft. You can't go, that's the island where I'm going to finally find happiness. I'm going to hold back on being happy until my boat arrives over there at that island. That's the island I want. So I'm angry here, but that's okay, because if I keep doing this long enough, I'm gonna get to the island where I know I'm gonna be happy there. Well, guess what? When you get there, you've brought everything that you were been practicing, and that whole feeling of vibration. Now it's an unhappy island. It was happy when you were way far away from it. By the time you close the gap, now it's unhappy, and it's unhappy because it's against you. It's unhappy because that's universal law, baby. You're
Yeah.
insisting. You're insisting that miracles not happen. You're saying that miracles can't happen, and that something else from without is going to alter within and make up for the discrepancy of where I'm lacking. And that's impossible. Everything that's on the without only happened from, it came from the within of every person. Every building that was ever built was a collection of agreements and thoughts between people that got together in a timely manner, together on a schedule, and made it manifest. Everything that you see, every road that was paved, every opportunity, every new gadget, all of it was a meeting where people got together and agreed on thoughts and then brought it to bear. So bring your own thoughts, know the value of your thoughts and steady them, and make your most predominant thoughts those of reveling in the stuff that's already joined you. Stop, stop going
Noticing that, yeah.
going like I've got this cell phone, and then I've got this thing, and then I've got 5 pairs of reader glasses, and then they're all different colors, and then I've got my Mr. Microphone, and I can dazzle you with that, and then I've got CDs around the world, and I've got like 20 of those, and then let's see, what else can I bury myself in here until I'm going to let myself be happy? Let's see, I got hats, I got more lamps, I got a rug. Well, I don't know, none of this stuff is good enough anymore. I need more. It's like, you're never going to have enough. You're never going to have enough because you've been practicing noticing everything that's still missing. And so even the shit that decided to join you, you've squandered and told that you've bastardized. You said you're not good enough.
You know what?
I see something shinier over there. That's going to be the answer for
around
me.
My house and just kind of, probably look. There's something that I did when I was really little is that I took something in with olive oil and I rubbed it down the hallway, saying that I loved my daddy. That's
really weird.
Well, he was in Vietnam and I missed him and loved him, and so I was singing that I
olive oil on the wall.
I don't know. I was 3.
Well, it's amazing that you even remember it. So,
well, it's something that I was told to me, so it's not something I really remember.
Did you get a spanking?
No.
No. Your mom thought that was natural. Like, well, what's this?
She just laughed.
Is this olive oil?
Yeah. But it was. I think it was olive oil. Anyway,
not touching that.
I walk around my house now, and it reminds me of that, and I just go, thank you for being a cover over my head and keeping me safe and warm. And I, my table that I bought that's so beautiful, and thank you for holding up my dishes. And I've gotten a little funky about it, but I'm thanking everything that's around me,
right,
for taking care of me.
Well, not because you're supposed to, but because you have found the benefit as well, because like a child or a plant, when you praise it, it ends up wanting to shine brighter, but because you're lavishing your energy and your praise and your attention, and it's no different than your dreams and onto the ether. The more that you praise the stuff that's already joined you, as opposed to acting like a spoiled little shit brat. Okay, I'm gonna say it. As opposed to acting like a little game that will play like, well, I'm a spoiled brat. It's like, honey, look, if you want to act like you're a spoiled brat, that's just a game between you, and that's fine as long as it feels good. But I'm feeling that it doesn't feel good, so I would hang it up, and I would go, get authentic and genuine here. Be genuine. Be genuine about what you're feeling, because I'm telling you right now, what was I saying? 40 years old, 50 years old, 60 years old, 70 years old, nursing home, in a wheelchair, side of the hallway, drooling. That's you, baby. And then flatline, and then you're gone. And I'm not trying to be rude, but there is an arc perhaps here with what you are going to determine as inevitable for your arc of your experience in age, in your degradation as you go down, because you heard that that's all that was available as an experience, was to naturally decline until you can't move anymore. I'm not doing that, but I know that many of you think that that's inevitable. Now I'm telling you, if you're also putting that as your as your limited knowing, and you're operating off of that, well, then start getting to it. Get to start doing the stuff that you love now, instead of waiting for later, because there is no later. And the way to do that is just start enjoying anything that's near you now, and stop being disrespectful about it. I have a lot of stuff, but I respect all of it. I love it.
I'm going to show you something. So
you're going to take me on a tour of the olive oil wall?
There, no. This. You're funny.
You're going to be like,
this is my African violet.
Stuck to it.
Yeah, that's my African violet. And that or not African violet, it's a Christmas cactus. What am I saying? Anyway, it came from the cutting came from my aunt's cutting, that came from my grandmother's cutting, that came from my great grandmother's cutting. So this is like my history. And for years I've ignored it, and it's grown and it's been pretty, and it had a few blossoms. I expect
I'm going to take
that
you
when
guys
this
on a tour.
blooms, it's going to burst, because I've been telling it that I love it and that it's beautiful and that it makes me happy, and it's going to be just gorgeous because
Don't
it's going
rub olive
to.
oil on it.
No, I'm not.
I'm messing with you. Messing with you.
But this is the kind of thing, is that, plants and people and things, we're all made up of the same um, atoms and
We are. We are.
universe,
And they are
and
all receptive to
we're
thoughts
all part
on
of the
them.
source, God's source. And you praise those things and you love those things, and they flourish. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what it is.
Right. Good. Nice full circle there. Yeah. Absolutely. Like Professor Amiro Masato, his reflections on water
Oh
experiment, where he
yeah,
took from that one pond and he put the water in petri dishes, and then he put different labels with certain
he
words
he wrote
on
the
the.
words on the label and left them there.
Well, he brought them all together down to completely being frozen at the same time, and then he examined each one of the petri dishes under microscope, and he found that the one that had the word "I hate you" and "I want to see your end" looked like cancer cells that had no symmetry, and they were all like at odds with each other. And
Right.
he put the word abundance or God or I love you, and they were crystalline, like Tartarian structures, like stained glass windows that were like your typical
Snowflake.
snowflakes.
Yes.
Where I mean, it was just and as you zoomed in further and further and further at the crystalline level, the molecules that each have infinite intelligence in them were responding to the intention that had been cast upon the water. Okay, so that's why we bless our food. We don't bless our food because somebody told us that we had to, or we're not going to get through the damn pearly gates. That's bullshit. We bless our food because we know the power of manifestation. We know that
Right.
anything that we cast our appreciation on is going to deliver for us, and it's going to be the happy return that we actually had intended and that we want, and that we told ourselves and everybody else that we find to be valuable. So stop wasting your time twice. When you eat your food, you don't have to say it in Jesus' name or any other predominant dogmatic knowing or limited knowing, but bless it and mean it and know what you're saying it, what you're doing to it, because that food, I can't get fat from that food. I have people that Ron shows pictures to on the internet and around media stuff and our intimate gatherings. And the predominance of comments are, oh my God, how do you guys stay so fit with all of that rich, delicious food that you're constantly showing us, making us
I
drool
can't
over?
wait to
And
have
I'm like,
bread
that's
pudding.
not, that's that's not how food affects you if you intend it beautifully. If you say, oh my God, I can't eat that, it's going to be the death of me. Oh, I know better than to eat that. I've seen people, what happens to them. Oh, I can't, but I will anyway. And you eat that food, you're going to get fat from that food because you just actually cast a spell on it with your words. You spell words, you spell them, you spell it. You spell it, you
Where
spiel it, you
I
spell it.
something that
Watch what you say. Watch what you say.
my mom told me
I can
from a
eat.
very young age
Wait, I
that
just
your
want to
words
finish.
are powerful and that
Yeah,
they will curse you if you use the wrong words.
yeah. And it's not
So
cursing you like there's a higher power than you. You're literally casting the spell, and you're putting a ceiling on what's inevitable for you. But only you, baby. Everybody else can eat the brownie and the ice cream, and they can remain completely fat free with abs and muscle showing all day long and run up a mountain. But not you. You're going to eat the brownie and ice cream, and you're going to insist, I knew it would do that to me, and I was right. Look at me. And it's like, but it's because you didn't know the value of what you were going to think before you were going to do it. And if you do it that way, you're going to be the unhappy recipient of vicarious, unintentional manifestation that only emanates from each one of us. We have nobody to blame. If you want to think of what the word blame, but yourself. And you don't even have to blame yourself. Just know that you've been creating your whole life all by yourself. There hasn't been a favorable God above you that's been blessing you and rewarding you with stuff. There's some people listening right now or will listen to this that are absolutely going to say, no, now you've gone too far. I know that the Lord only blesses me if I'm good. It's like, no, he doesn't, because he's you. And I already know how universal law works. So when you do, you'll never have a complaint moment on your tongue, and you'll never have an unwanted manifestation or experience again like me, because I know better, and I'm doing it on purpose, and I'm doing it lucidly, and I'm doing it deliberately, and I'm tapped in, tuned in, and turned on all the time, not because I'm supposed to, but because I get great results from it. So I'm starting to get that little click in the microphone again, as if we go to a certain amount of time and it starts to do something weird. So we totally covered manifesting. We're going to skip over Tartaria because we've talked about a lot.
Covered that a lot.
We've covered that a lot, and we'll get right to and how we're going to do it is we're actually just going to stop this one and say bye-bye, and we're going to start another one, because I think in the next one then my microphone behaves better. So we'll see you guys, and we'll be right back for part 2.